Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy WxG Dodoria. It's been a while, but if there was ever gonna be a perfect time or perfect reason for me to come back and do a video, I think tonight will be the night. And I have a lot to say, but I also don't want to burn too much time, so I think I'm gonna cut the intros, just get to my feelings about the show and my feelings about John Cena. But let's go ahead and do a little Cena Glaze, because I've been in this wrestling game for a while. Obviously, there was a time period that I stopped watching, from like middle school to my early adult years. But I will say this: I can remember the first time I remember seeing John Cena, and it wasn't on a WWE show. I saw John Cena in a Y2J Stackers commercial. If you're old enough to remember those things, then you know what I'm talking about. Having no idea who this dude was, but shortly afterwards, checking him out and getting a glimpse of him in WWE, and beginning to follow him from there. And I'm talking the early Chain Gang years. I'm talking about coming out rapping, dissing everybody. I'm talking about, like I said, Chain Gang, Word Life, Doctor of Thugonomics, basic Thugonomics, like Cena, Big Show, Mania, US belt. Cena, JBL, world title, Mania. The era whenever the top dogs was Cena and Batista, which was, oddly enough, around the time I cut my viewing of watching wrestling, because it became predictable. And oddly enough, it was a Monday Night Raw with a closing angle involving, I think it was like Triple H and or Shawn, and I called the fucking chair spot, and I was like, this shit is so fucking predictable, I'm just not liking it. That was the last thing that I watched before I stopped watching wrestling for years, minus Rock and Cena 1, because it was such a momentous moment that even I had to pay for that fucking pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm over here telling you that, this was something that I had to watch and witness and be a part of, I had to. Even with me coming back and, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. And even at that time, I think that I was more so just like, if they use them right, I genuinely don't care. But, it's here. John Cena had his last match on a show that, if I was gonna rate it overall, I'm feeling a B-. And it is not on the part of John Cena. I actually am judging this minus John Cena's match, because John Cena's match, there wasn't gonna be this. We weren't gonna get an old school slobber knocker like what John used to do when he was younger, where he was really getting down in the nitty gritty and getting bloody like that. But I exempted it from my grading and viewed every other part, every other match, minus anything in the pre-show, because I missed the pre-show. And I'm giving it a B- because they showcase some promising up-and-comers that will be very exciting to watch in WWE's future. Javon Evans, Leon Slater. Like, Leon Slater, who is TNA talent, is going to come to WWE. It's without question. And I will address my feelings towards that whole arrangement in another video. But for now, their showcase was great. I just wish their match would have been longer. Sol Ruka versus Bayley was the most complete match, and I would say the best match of the night, honestly speaking, because it felt like a full, complete match that wasn't rushed or didn't feel rushed, and did everything just right. So yeah, that's it. And then the opener, Cody Rhodes and Obafemi. Because somebody's gonna wonder, why is that you're giving it a B- and not just a B? Well, that match dampened my feelings for the rest of the night, if I'm gonna be real with you. because it's not that anything was wrong with the in-ring. In-ring, it was very good for what WWE does with a lot of, its bigger guys than anybody in that main event scene currently. It's not the flashiest. It's not, the most banger, but, it does what it does. And obviously you have moments where you get excited, but this wasn't one of those nights, because when you're having two champions, your NXT champion Obafemi versus the WWE champion Cody Rhodes, and you have a match going in a way that shows that Obafemi is kind of dominating, and to not give a match that feels like a full match, because it wasn't a full match for the length of time that what we got, and then to have it end because of an interference. No, Booby. I know there are plenty of people out there right now saying that the decision that was made was best because you don't want both. You basically protect both guys. That doesn't protect both of them. I'm going to be fucking real. This did not protect both of them, and this is what we in wrestling need to understand. And I want Hunter to understand this too. If you're going to invest in somebody, or if you're going to have a match on a night like this that's meant to be important and shown importance, you don't cheapen it by ending it the way you did. I get that you're trying to push the story with Cody and fucking Drew, and maybe you might even do Drew and Oba having a thing out down at NXT. But here's my problem. We didn't need that here. We really didn't. And I would have preferred that if they were going to do that, start the match back over. Let them finish what they started to get a definitive end. Because then, if you have Cody beat Oba, Oba's got a chip on his shoulder that he's got to overcome, especially since he should be coming to the main roster sooner or later. Or, if Oba beats Cody, Oba has momentum to show that he is really the true future of WWE. And obviously it helps him with the remaining time he's in NXT, but also it's a big momentum push for when he comes into the main roster. And you can even have him, go ahead and build into a feud with Cody, who may or may not still be champion at the time, where Oba feels that instead of just having an exhibition, he actually wants that belt because I've shown that I can beat the champ. And like Ric Flair said, in order to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. Since I beat the man, it's time for me to really be the man in these streets. So that would have been preferred, but that's not what we got. Less time for the short time of the match, bullshit and fair fight, and the crowd hated it. The crowd really hated it. The real thing saving the night, and they kind of it almost got ruined again with the Cena match, is again Bayley and Sol Ruka, with Sol getting the win, and then Javon Evans and Leon Slater, which honestly they probably could have got a win there too. And then bam, you got a PLE to set up with those boys for a tag team opportunity. Just saying, it writes itself, especially for what the night's gonna be. Everybody already fucking knew going into this, John Cena was not winning his last match. And it's mostly probably because of the selfishness of Cena, that Cena wasn't going to lose his last match. So, yeah, let's kind of talk about it, because I was fine with the match. I actually had a tear forming in the match whenever Michael Cole called the AA the FU, because I remember it being the FU, and I kind of miss it being the FU. And the crowd rallied for Super Cena. So many, false finishes, and I was all right because I can accept things like that. But the way it ended just took the wind out of the whole fucking thing. Cena's there, he's being slept, and he's been getting slept on. He's been getting held in the sleeper hold for a long time, and he goes in, he looks, he smiles, and he just taps. Mr. Never Give Up gave up, and I don't like that finish. And I would have rather something more definitive to where it's not John Cena giving up, It's John Cena simply being forced down. And that's why I personally feel like this opportunity, if I actually had say so, I would have swapped the opponents in the opener and closer. Let Gunther and Cody have their own fucking feud. And you have that, be at this exhibition, and then have Oba, the clear future of WWE, be the guy to take out Cena. Because without question, Oba's gonna be in WWE for a long time. He is homegrown. And I think a dominant Oba being the one to put down Cena would have been for the best. To really exemplify what it is that Cena wanted out of this, which was to push the younger talent, show that he's going to be gone, but we have a definitive future. Yes, Gunther is the heel future, but honestly, I would have preferred it being Oba for how this night turned out with. And now that I kind of got off my chest, excluding the time went towards that little thing with fucking Miz and Joe Hendry and Rada. John Cena, you marked the end of a time, and I know that there are still guys from your generation still out there. You still have Randy Orton, you still have Brock Lesnar, but I think that Brock within the next couple of years is going to be picking it up. And honestly, I think Lesnar is Orton's in that same boat. So yeah, they're like you finally being done means something for like really turning the ball over, looking at a new era, because in a WWE landscape past John Cena, I can hope that they get better. I'm not a big WWE guy, but even I want them to do good, because when they do good, that means the business as a whole does good, and that's for anybody that has a major play in this industry. Yes, my flag is AEW, but if there was no WWE and all we had was AEW, then what would AEW have that's forcing them to push to be better with what they do? Without WWE, you don't have TNA finally being in a position where they can, help grow this industry and make it more widespread, as well as establishing competition. Now then, they can be a third, but that's about as well as I see them saying. But that's again for a whole nother video, because I do not want the future of WWE to be what I saw with this card. Triple H, without question, is a divisive booker right now with with all wrestling fandoms, because there are choices being made that have us bothered, especially the handling of Cena's retirement year, which I don't know how much involvement and say so he's been having, but it is a shame to think that the biggest promotion in the world can't even give great send-offs to their legends. Cena is a legend. The last great send-offs that WWE did was probably Michaels and Flair. And the last great send-off of a legend was Sting. And I don't know why that model is hard to replicate, but seeing that we will have quite a few more legends that are going to be hanging their boots up within the next 5 years. Chris Jericho, who should be going back to WWE, or at least seemingly is aiming to go back to WWE. Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Edge and Christian, and we don't know if they might mess around and, get a 6 month to a year run in their home promotion one last time. Yeah, they're with AEW, but still, there's always an opportunity. But there's fucking Orton, Brock, and when it's time to do those last rides, how are they going to handle it? How are they going to send them off? I hope that it's better than what they did for Cena. Because these guys deserve better, and WWE deserves to be better. But I think 15 minutes is a good cutoff. I think that I got my feelings out, and I have no plans on how I'm coming back with making videos and content. So I guess we'll wait till something major happens, and then I go back to being buck wild. But until then, y'all have a good one. This is your boy, WxG, adore you. Peace.